That's great. Thank you very much, James. Great to be here to see you all. So I'm Joff from Jamp. In the blurb it says that we are a user acquisition platform, when in fact we do display retargeting as well, so we've been leading the charge there for the last few years as well. I'm joined by Arlie from Trainline, who's one of the advertisers that we work with, and our talk today is going to be on how to retain app users. We're going to give you some sort of best practices and also some of the pitfalls to avoid. It's not a case study. We're going to share a couple of things from both the advertiser side and from the platform side. So if you see a green dot, that represents a best practice. Those are designed to generally make your life a little bit easier. Maybe not that easy, sadly. And if you see a red dot, then a red dot is a pitfall, probably going to waste time and effort going down those rabbit holes. So, like I said, on both sides, the advertiser sets out questions you should be thinking about, and then I'm going to do a little bit on the platform side. So I'm going to hand you over to Arlie now to get the ball rolling.
Thank you, Jeff. Hi everyone, so I'm Aurélie, Mobile Marketing Manager at Trainline, and I'll talk to you about what engagement actually means from the advertiser perspective. So just a bit of background, what is Trainline for those of you who don't know? Number one train app in the UK. We deliver real-time information when you take a train to travel. So we have live train time, platform information, and tickets. We sell tickets. So engagement is actually really key for us. And we keep saying, okay, engagement is really important, but why? I mean, why should people engage with your app? Because you spend loads of money in building these products. This product is here because you're solving a problem, right? You're talking to people and saying, look, my product is going to help you save time or kill time. In the case of Trainline, it's actually saving you time. So you don't have to wait at the station to get on the train. You can actually see that your train is delayed, go grab a coffee or a sandwich so you can be more efficient with your time. But it does take time for people to realize that, right? When you first download an app, you get, oh, okay, that app is quite interesting, let me download it. But you might not have the time to actually check all of the features in one go. There are external factors, you have to run to a meeting or something, so you don't really have time to spend in the app to understand how it works. In fact, that happened to everyone. And we've all seen the chart that says that actually 50% of people download an app but don't come back on the next day. And that's quite bad, because if you paid for that download, well, this is money that you're not seeing again. But what is good is that if 50% of people left, actually 50% of people stayed. And out of the 50%, you'll see emerge what we call the power users. And it's actually people that have found value in your app. They're like, okay, cool, that's really helping me, that's really saving my life. And these power users are actually building your business. They're the ones spending the money, and they're the one who will become an advocate of your app. And that's what we want. But then what differs power users from the abandoners? What happened? And that happened, the magic moment. That moment when you've been playing with the app enough to actually say, wow, this is magic, this is what I needed, this is saving my life, I can't live without it. And from when people actually reach that magic moment, then they become the high value users that we all want. And they're the one that allows us to spend more marketing money because we know we're getting the money back. So how do we find that magic moment? Well, I think we need to, again, step back. We know our product's inside out because we build it, but actually we need to step back into the shoes of someone discovering the app for the first time. What do they do? And for that, we need the data. We need to be completely neutral and actually look at what people do when they first install the app. So for that, you need to tag a hell of a lot of events in your app. Like Skylar was saying, you need to add a timestamp to these events, and you need to have some kind of unique identifier for your users. So you need to have device IDs, customer ID, or something to create cohorts. So then when you do that, you start seeing patterns, and you start to understand what people are actually doing in your app, what is valuable to them, what's not. And you start building segments and learning about the behavior. So if you go back to Trainline, commuters, for example, is a big segment for us. So it's people that might not necessarily buy tickets through the app, but they actually check it on a super regular basis. You know, they're going from A to B every single day or every other day. And when they think, oh, is my train on time, they'll think train line, so that has value to us. If we look at something else, mobile tickets, for example, selling your products, that means that you don't have to queue at the station to actually print out your tickets. You can just download it on your phone. And this again is quite, future thinking. It's quite a new product. So looking at how people behave when they are first adopters is really interesting, because then how can you use that first usage of mobile ticket and actually use that for them to become advocates of the product. And finally, the holy grail is frequent travelers for us. So people, associate train travel with train line. They come to us to check train times. They book their tickets. They get the receipts from their travel on their app, and they're talking to their friends about it. So once you identify the segments, you need to define the funnel of how do people get to that stage, and start making the magic happen. So you have all of that data. You've worked with your data analytics team or data scientists, so you can work with partners like Jam to actually do this and actually map the path. So this is a very simple path, just to give you the idea of the thought process we went through. But it's understanding, okay, so within a certain time frame from people downloading the app, we actually need them to take train time 3 times in the app. Then we need them to actually go into the me section where they can tell their favorite trip and actually say, well, I'm going from A to B every day, I need to have that at first glance. And finally, we need them to buy tickets, and then they have the gold star and they become super valuable customers for us. So we have that map. We know we need to get them to do that, but how do we do it? So, marketing, we can go crazy. We have actually quite a few different tools so we can use. The good old CRM, so emails and push notification. These are great because it's one-to-one relationship with your users. You know what they like, you know what they're doing, etc. So you can have a very personal connection. The only problem is that they need to have opted in for that. So they need to have seen the value, potential communication with you before you can actually use these tools. So it's great, but you need to take it with a pinch of salt, because if they said, okay, yes, I want to hear from you, and then you spam them, they're not going to like it and they're going to opt out. So this is a good channel, but to use very carefully. The other one is in-app messaging and actually pop-up that you can do. So that's really good for onboarding, for example, if someone downloads your app for the first time, in pointing out what are the cool features that they might not see at first, and actually educate them. So this is great, but again, the person has to be in the app and quite engaged for you to be able to communicate with them. And lastly, display, which is what I'm going to talk about more with Jeff. Display is great because again, you can segment, you can target, you can test different creative, and there's a lot we can do. The only problem is that it's not free, so you actually have to get your budget right, you actually have to get your targets right. And say, okay, if I'm spending that much money, on top of paying to acquire the download, I need to have X in terms of return on investment. But before we go crazy and spend the money, we kind of need to get the product right. And that is very important because, especially in app, you need marketing and product to work very, very closely together. One key thing is deep linking, because obviously if you can't take people back into the app, the re-engagement solutions are going to be quite minimal. So you need to be able to take someone from a banner, from a message, back into the app on a specific landing page where you want them to be, so they can convert and take that extra step. You need tracking. Again, as it was mentioned before, tracking is key because you need to understand what is working, what's not working, doing the A/B test and learning from your mistakes. But in tracking, it's very important is also to have dynamic postbacks. So then you can tell your partners, actually don't retarget that person because they've already made that transaction or they've already hit that stage. And God knows I hate when I'm looking at some products, I'm looking to buy a pair of shoes, and I finally bought it and I still get these retargeting ads that say, hey, buy these shoes. It's like, well, duh, I've done it 10 minutes ago, you should know. So actually working with partners in making sure that this doesn't happen is very key. So that's it for me. Client side, I've done all my bits. I've enabled my deep linking, I've integrated the in-app events, shared the funnel with Jam, so now it's over to you.
So at this stage, we have everything we need. Now what? What do we do from the platform side? So in order to set up an engagement plan, there are 5 areas that we need to work through. And really having that engagement plan will then allow us to go out and do retargeting very, very effectively. So I'm going to run through each step here. The first one is the funnel analysis. So the key here is it really depends how much data is being shared by the advertiser. And the sort of granularity of your engagement plan is going to hinge on that. So we ask questions like, are we seeing just the install? Are we seeing all the in-app events in the funnel? Are we getting events from all of the various attribution channels, which will include Facebook and Google and organics? And then also, are we receiving metadata? So metadata is a value or parameter that's appended to the postback event. In the instance where I click on a hotel, the metadata there might be the name of that hotel, the Marriott, it's going to be the price, £200 a night. Maybe its star rating, 5-star, and the city that it's based in, London. That can give us a lot more granular information when we come to doing retargeting. The first steps, we conduct a health check. It's just a proven measure. It's probably going to save you some hassle further down the line if there are any discrepancies in the data. And then we analyse the retention and the drop-off for every stage of the funnel. Okay, so what we're doing is we're looking at how users are interacting with the app. We're also looking at the distribution of those users at every stage. And then we can also go out and identify the magic moment, so as Ari was just talking about. There's 5 steps to doing that. I don't have time to go into those today. The first step is to find which in-app events correlate with retention. And then you can build from there to kind of define this key moment. So in this example, so I know that's very small at the back, you won't be able to see that. In this example, I'm just going to kind of build the funnel sort of stage by stage. That first stage, that little red box there, is newly acquired users. So the next step is to think about segmentation. So not all of your users are the same. Some are going to be using the app a little bit, some are going to use it a lot, but everyone in between. Segmentation allows you to build these granular groups, which you can then retarget to be more specific, and make those ads more personalised, more timely, more relevant. So in this example, I'm just going to choose to go with a new user who's installed the app, but they haven't yet done a product view. And maybe they installed the app, haven't done a registration size case, installed the app and haven't done a game tutorial, whatever it is. But in this example, I'm going to go with haven't done a product view. So, next question, what is the sort of time duration in which you try and retarget that particular segment? And the answer to that is completely scientifically driven, right? There's no sort of finger in the air, mystical art form. So you want to look at the data from your funnel analysis. And if we analyse that, in this case, we see that the majority of users that install the app go on to view a product within 14 days. You don't want to let your users lapse after that 14-day marker. And conversely, at the other end as well, what your data is going to show you is that maybe in the first couple of days, there's a really high likelihood people are going to convert anyway, so you don't need to retarget them. Plus, that is a lousy user experience to be retargeted too early. So now, using some amazing time-lapse photography here, we can see that in this case, the user completes that view product event around about like the 7-day marker. And now what happens, and Ariel was just talking about the importance of this, is that user immediately drops out of that segment. They move into a new segment. In this case, they've moved into the activated stage of the funnel. And on day 0, you can see that they've now viewed this product. We're trying to get them to now make the purchase. So they're going to be retargeted with a completely separate set of ads. Here again, eventually the user makes that purchase on around like day 25. So one of the things we do at Jambook is this, sequential retargeting. So So the idea here is you don't just want to bludgeon new users with a like buy message from early on. What you're trying to do is actually push people down each stage of the funnel. We'll try and push them to this magic moment. And that's a much defter approach, and there's also a better user experience. So in this example, as we saw, the targeting window we're going to set is the last 14 days. Now we need to figure out what are we going to say to all of these different segments. So you want to disengage the kind of geeky analytical side. Think about old school marketing. The idea is you tailor your messages to each specific segment. So here you've got two different examples. You want to use different assets, maybe like a slightly different proposition, a value proposition, and probably a different call to action as well, depending on where that person is in the funnel. If you really want to go the whole hog, then you can utilize dynamic product ads. You need a product feed to do that. The product feed will then actually provide real-time content for the ad based on the user's last or previous in-app activity. So if I've just been looking to buy a tennis racket, you can actually retarget me with that exact tennis racket. Maybe you can discount it a bit. You can show me other tennis rackets that other customers bought. And then when I bought that tennis racket, you could even retarget me to get me like the cool tennis shoes or the bag that I need as well. So you're going to get a real boost in performance there, click-through rates and conversion rates, and you're really going to maximize relevance for the user as well. So definitely one pitfall, never use your acquisition creators. I mean, that's kind of lazy. You're going to run this retargeting test. There's not really a test. I mean, how many of you are going to click on an ad that says download my app when you've already got that app downloaded? So I'm going to use the Discover app proposition here for our messaging. The last point then, I'm coming to a close, so it's bidding. So by bidding, what I mean is you now need to win impression auctions at RTB exchanges in order to be able to serve that ad to the user. How much do you pay to do that? Right? So not all users are the same. So let's say I'm a new user, I've come back into the app 3 times already, just to choose a little bit of contextual data. Maybe I've got the latest iPhone. Surely I'm worth more than that person who's only come back into the app once, and they've got like some 4-year-old handset. So it's best practice then to actually create different bidding prices within each segment based on the likelihood of conversion of those users. And what that's going to allow you to do as well as a sort of side effect is actually go out and target those users that had a lower probability of converting versus if you just had this kind of one price fits all sort of pricing strategy. So that gives us this range of smart CPCs that are related then to the expected value of users in each of those segments. Here you can see the cost efficiency associated with that. So again, I know it's pretty small, but on the left-hand side there, those bottom 4 rows, you can see how the CPC is changing from sort of 17 cents to 25 cents. The top one, that's the non-predictive segment, it's just fixed at 20 cents. And then on the right-hand side, you can see the correlation there with the CPA and how you can dramatically improve that. So for this example, I'm choosing that 17 to 25 cents range for the bidding. Now, everyone's seen the movie Groundhog Day, great movie. You basically just repeat that process now for every stage of your funnel and build out those segments. And then what you will get finally is a dedicated, data-driven engagement plan. And this is a very basic example, obviously, but what you're going to get here is a really robust marketing strategy that's going to allow you to go out to increase the engagement level of your users, and that's exactly what we've set out to do. So, so that concludes our talk. I know Ariel will be sticking around today if you've got any other questions. My colleague Florian is also here from Germany, despite the results of the referendum, so that's great. And yeah, thank you very much. James, thank you for having us.